Hey, thanks so much for tuning into the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. Today is Saturday. Hopefully you have had a blessed and inspired week as we have been going through Genesis over the last several weeks. And we're going to be in Genesis chapter 40 today. Yesterday we talked about Joseph's willpower and his strength, his endurance, his integrity. We see his character. And we see here that he was not trusting in his own strength, but really God's strength therein. He gets wrongfully accused once again, gets thrown into prison. But then once again, in end of chapter 39, we see that the Lord was with Joseph, and he has favor and he has success in everything that he does. And so he's even getting favor in prison. And there's a couple of characteristics of Joseph that I want us to be challenged and inspired by and emulate from chapter 40. So it starts in verse 6 here. We notice a little bit more about Joseph. Verse 6 says, when Joseph came to them the next morning, obviously Joseph was not in the prison and dungeon by himself. There was other people there. When he noticed them the next morning, he saw that they were dejected. So he asked Pharaoh's officials who were in custody with him in the master's house, why do you look so sad today? This is the cupbearer and the baker. And he notices, so that is just something, a great characteristic that we can emulate from Joseph is this, be a noticer. We see here that Joseph, again, was wrongfully accused in prison. He had every right just to wallow in his sorrow, but he chooses not to. He chooses to be a noticer, thinking of others above himself. And that's a challenge for each and every single one of us. I want to encourage all of us to think of others and notice. And not only that, we see here now that Joseph is using his God-given gifts as he's interacting with these two. So he's asking the question, why do you look so sad today? And then they answer, we both had dreams. They answered, but there is no one to interpret them. Then Joseph said, do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams. And then he goes and they say their dreams, and then Joseph interprets them. But one thing that I want us to recognize there is Joseph's character here. He recognizes that his God-given gift comes from God. He could have been like, oh yes, I'm the interpretation of gifts. I'm the interpreter. No, he says, don't all interpretations come from God? And so let's recognize that the things that we have, the gifts and the talents, let's be noticers, and then let's use our God-given gifts and talents to help one another out, build each other up. We notice here that Joseph is wrongfully accused. We see here that he's tried to even get out of there. He's saying, hey, remember me? Remember what I did here? Remember me? And then they forget him. And so in this chapter, we can see how Joseph could be discouraged, but he chooses to be a noticer, and he chooses to use his God-given gifts and talents to build and help others out. Let's emulate that, and let's choose to do that for each other. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in all week. I want to encourage you to join us tomorrow morning as we continue our series on the Holy Spirit. If you live in this South York County area, love for you to join us. If you're in the community, we'd love for you to join us. Shrewsbury Assembly, right on Main Street in Pennsylvania. If you live further away, if you're sick, if you're on vacation, we'd love for you to join us online, YouTube, and Facebook. And we'll be back on Monday for the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.